Thank you for taking the time to watch this short video on Illinois State University's two-way radio system. So it's a radio, how hard can it be? Well, it's actually not that difficult, but there are a few things you need to know to get the best performance out of your radios. First, ISU has 3 different models of radios, which you see here. A couple of key points about the models of radios. First, all 3 can talk to each other. So it doesn't matter if you have one kind of a radio and your coworker has another, you'll still be able to communicate with one another. Second, every campus radio is programmed the same regardless of model. So that means channel 4 on my radio is the same as channel 4 on your radio. Finally, all 3 models of radios can be used off campus. In fact, they have a range of up to 15 miles. Now let's go over basic radio operation. It's pretty much turn it on, select your channel, adjust the volume, and push to talk. Here are a few tips to make operation as smooth as it can be. You see 3 different models of radios that we've talked about, but each one operates pretty much the same way. First, if the radio is off, turn it on. The power on is located on the dial that also controls the volume. Turn the dial clockwise until you hear a click. It takes several seconds for the radio to fully power on. Once the radio is on, you see a green light that begins to flash on the top of the radio. Now you can adjust the volume with the same dial. Turning the dial clockwise raises the volume. Turning it counterclockwise lowers the volume. If you turn it counterclockwise far enough, you hear a click, and that means you've turned it off. With regard to the volume, you'll need to adjust it based on your location. If you're outdoors or in a loud environment, you'll need to turn it up. If you have the radio sitting on your desk, you might want to turn it down so as not to disturb others. You'll also need to select the proper channel for your department. Or if you're part of an event where you'll interact with others, you'll need to determine in advance what common channel everyone will be using. Contact the University Emergency Manager to use one of the special events channels. A list of channels can be found either on the stickers on the face of the radio, or if your radio has a display, by rotating through the channels. To change the channel on the radio, use the dial next to the power volume knob. Turning it clockwise increases the channel number with each click. Turning it counterclockwise decreases the channel number with each click. To talk, just press the large round button on the side of the radio. Pause a moment before speaking, otherwise the start of your message might be cut off as the radios make contact with one another. Typically you'll hear 3 rapid beeps after you press and hold the button. When the beeps finish, then begin talking. You really don't need to hold the radio in any special way to transmit a message, but it is best to hold it vertically so the antenna is pointed up for optimal transmission and reception. Once you're keyed up, keep the button pressed for the entire duration of your transmission. When you're done talking, release your finger from the button. It is advisable to speak into the front of the radio. That's where the microphone is located. If you get too close to the microphone, your voice will be distorted. If you're too far away from the microphone, you'll be too quiet to be heard. The best practice is to hold the radio 2 to 4 inches from your mouth and speak in a clear tone. In general, deeper tones are easier to understand than higher ones.
Test 1, 2, 3.
As for how to identify yourself on the radio, some departments use unique identifiers, like 501 or 128, while most others use their first names. When you call someone on the radio, the protocol is to use their identifier followed by yours, such as 501 from 505 or John from Eric. It's easy to mix this up, but think about a gift tag. To always comes before from. Remember, John from Eric, not Eric to John. The person you're calling should respond with a simple go ahead. You may also hear some people say U5 before their name, like U5 Don from Adam. This is an older convention that is no longer needed. Remember, these radios operate on public frequencies, so keep your communications professional, short, and to the point. You never know who might be listening. If you need to reach the ISU Police Department or Environmental Health and Safety for any reason, do so by going to Channel 1, which is labeled Special Events A. This is the standard EHS channel, and ISU PD also actively monitors this channel 24 hours a day. Don't worry about using a radio identifier. Instead, just say ISU PD, or health and safety from your name. Wait for a go-ahead and then relay your message. If you're in a situation where you want to talk radio to radio, by bypassing the system altogether, you can change your radio dial to channel 15 or 16. You do that by first turning off the radio, then switching over to channel 15, and then turning the radio back on. By doing so, your radio is now in radio to radio low power mode. So what does this mean? It basically turns these two radios that are communicating with one another into walkie-talkies. If they're within a couple hundred feet of each other, they should have good communications with one another. Channel 15 can be used by anybody on campus, and channel 16 is assigned to campus dining. On your display, you should see Special Event Low Power. Special Event Low Power is the name of the channel. Depending upon your model, your radio might have some additional features that you can take advantage of. If your radio has an LCD display on the face, you'll also see a button on the side of the radio just above the push to talk. If you press that button once, your radio will go into scan mode. That means it will pick up radio traffic from every channel that we have on campus. When your radio is in scan mode, the LCD display will show a small Z in the very top row. That indicates the radio is scanning. You'll also notice the green light on the top of the radio begins flashing back and forth between green and amber. By pressing the button on the side of the radio again, that will turn off the scan feature. The biggest difference between these three radios are the buttons on the front. One model has several buttons, one has several more, and one has none at all. And all of them have an orange button at the top. For the purposes of our use at Illinois State University, none of those buttons are programmed to do anything for us. So the orange button's on the top. If you accidentally press it, no problem. And on the front of the right two radios, none of those keypad buttons do anything on our system here either. They're in place for other systems at other organizations, but we don't use them at all. So that makes these radios a lot simpler to operate. Regardless of model, every one of our radios comes with a belt clip. The intention is to hang the radio from your belt. You may see people carrying the radio around like this on their pocket. That is a poor practice. It can result in damage to the radio. It's a lot easier to get caught on something and maybe be ripped out and thrown on the ground. So what you want to do instead is take the radio out of your pocket and put it through your belt loop or through the top of your pants. That is a much better way to carry the radio. It is far more secure and will help us all protect the investment that we have in these radios. When the light on the top of the radio starts turning red, it's time to recharge the battery. To recharge it, simply turn off the radio and then place the radio inside the charging unit. The light on the bottom of the charging unit will indicate how charged the battery is. If your battery is discharged, the light will turn red. Once it turns solid green, the battery is at 100%. If the light turns orange, the battery is being conditioned. This several hour-long process helps extend the life of your battery. On occasion, you might have need for an accessory for your radio. Three are shown here. The first one is the speaker mic. The second one is a headset. And the third one is an earpiece. All three of them attach to the radio in the exact same way, and we'll show you now by attaching the speaker mic to one of the portable radios. You start by connecting the accessory to the top of the side of the radio, and then the rest of the adapter slides down right over the top, and you screw it in at the bottom. Once that's in place, you will now hear audio through the microphone, and you speak into the device. And now for a few final thoughts. First, the university conducts an emergency radio test on the first Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. Here's what it sounds like. You don't have to do anything after or during these tests. For campus emergencies like tornado warnings, facilities management, the heating plant, or the emergency operations center will issue an alert after you hear the tone. Next, do not bend or tuck the antenna. Doing so will damage it, and it reduces its ability to effectively send and receive transmissions. If you have any issues or need troubleshooting with your radio, contact the Technology Support Center in Julian Hall. Finally, ISU Environmental Health and Safety is the caretaker of the campus radios, including assigning channels and assisting departments in purchasing radios and accessories. We hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, please contact the University Emergency Manager at 438-8325. Thanks for watching.